Hi everybody, Andy Goldfine here from Aerostich. Today we're going to do a sort of a deep dive into the Aerostich R-3 one-piece armored textile rider's suit. With me is my coworker Rick Blade. He's normally Aerostich's purchasing person. He is not a rider, he is not a regular suit wearer, and I'm going to show him the easiest way to get in and out of the suit in 10 or 12 seconds. It takes multiple practice times till it becomes automatic, and he has not done that. So you're going to see how to learn to get in and out of an Aerostich suit fast and easily. I just want to add one more thing before we begin. Every product is a compromise between one set of needs and another set of needs. Its best single feature is that it's balanced. It's a pretty darn good rain suit. It's pretty darn comfortable in hot conditions. It's pretty darn windproof and comfortable in cold and adverse conditions. It's pretty fast and easy to get on and off. It's pretty lightweight. It's a great Swiss Army knife coverall that helps you incorporate more riding into your everyday life, no matter where you're going, what you're riding, what the weather's like. When you hang one of these in your closet or by your bike, you ride more. You start by holding it in the lapel area facing into it. It's as if you're at a bar and it's time to go and you've got a friend who's had a few too many and you say, come on, it's time to go. So you hold it facing you and then you lower it down and you step into it with your right leg. While you're doing that, you kind of flick your boot or ankle around and pull it up onto you and then put it on like a jacket. And then you're in it. And when you're in it, you take these two sliders. It zips from the top down. And you have a bottom slider and a top slider. And you hold them up against the top like this. And then you sort of bend this side over, align it. It's much easier to do when it's a broken-in suit. And then you zip down. This is a brand new, pretty stiff suit, and he's not done this before, so it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for him. Here you go, and good luck. When he reaches his knee, it's often helpful to bend your leg like this. He'll show you on the other leg. You bend it like you're crossing your leg. Now I'd like to start a little tour of the features. This design has been almost the same with a number of refinements over the years for 40 years. And the reason that each pocket and each detail is the way it is has something to do with something. So let's start at the top with the collar. A number of years ago, we put these rare earth magnets here to hold the collar open. If you live in a bad climate, as I do here in Duluth, Minnesota, I hate these things. But if you live in a nice climate like San Francisco or Oklahoma City or somewhere, these are very nice because when they let air into the top of the suit when it's warm and the weather is fair. When it's not fair, which it isn't on here, if you rotate a little bit, I'll show, there's 3 snaps that allow this to come up all the way up under the neck roll of your helmet. So the rainwater comes down here and doesn't go down your neck, it goes out on the suit. As long as we're back here, because this suit is 1 layer thick, there's no lining, and there's reasons we like it that way. We put a place to hang it from a hook here, so it's on the outside instead of the inside. Now, in adverse weather, you sort of fight with these magnets, which are removable, and you bring the zipper up and close this, and you're pretty well set for cold or adverse weather. Rain. A lot of riders when it's cold, they put a silk scarf on between the collar, which is ultra suede, and the suit so that it slips a little easier as you spin your head to the left and to the right. But this works just fine as it is. And for the most part, unless the weather's terrible, it stays down with these plastic snaps. One of the features of the suit that is a little different than a lot of other modern armored high-tech rider's gear is it's simple to use. Once you learn the ins and outs of it, there's less detailed complications compared to many of the riders' textile suits made in the Far East. When you have very inexpensive costs to sew and design, the designs tend to get more and more stylized, more and more elaborate, more and more detailed. This design is made here in the United States. It's as simple as we can make it. It's as easy to use as we can make it. It's as versatile as we can make it. And it's as repairable over a long period of time as we can make it. These suits are, for most riders, an investment that lasts them anywhere from 10 to 25 years. They outlast people's motorcycles. Our customers often say, this is my second suit, but I've had 5 motorcycles, things like that. This is a 500 denier nylon, air texturized nylon with a 3-layer laminated technology, making it both waterproof and breathable. All of the seams are sealed with hot glued on tape. So anywhere there's a pocket or a seam, there's a seam, so that it makes it waterproof. The zippers are all highly water resistant or waterproof zippers as well. And we use genuine materials. The zippers are YKK. This is Velcro, brand Velcro. The reflective areas here is actually 3M Scotchlite reflective. I remember 40 years ago with a flashlight on a dark night testing 20 different kinds of reflective to see which one bounced back as many light rays as it could, and I like the 3M the best. And in the 40 years we've been making these, 3M has updated and improved the durability of the reflective like 4 times. So this is a much better 3M reflective than the stuff we started making the suits with, but it still is very powerful in terms of how much light it bounces back. This contrasting areas, these are 1000 denier or 1050 denier, and these add an extra layer of abrasion resistance to the areas where you're likely to have a lot of pressure on the suit if you are sliding down the road. Before I continue, I want to have a little sidebar about the concept of the suit. Today, when you buy an automobile, it's understood that if you're in a crash scenario and you're able to walk away without injury after the crash, the car did its job to protect you, and you get a new car. The car is sacrificial. When I was young, cars were not considered sacrificial, but today the body shell of the car is designed to protect the occupant area. The front and back end of the car is designed to crumple in a controlled way to lessen the amount of impacts G's you'll take. There's airbags all over the inside of a car. And the idea is the car is replaceable, you are not replaceable. So if the car is not repairable, you go on your way and you get another car. The idea was that this could be lighter than a leather suit, more waterproof than a leather suit, or as durable as a leather suit. But in a crash, it could be used up if it was a higher speed crash or if you did a lot of rolling and tumbling in your crash. At the time this suit was introduced, that was a foreign idea. I remember encountering long experienced riders with horsehide or cowhide leathers, and they would point to the scuff on this elbow and say, that was in 1966 when I fell off here and so and so and so and so. And this was in 1971 when I crashed here. And they had marks of wear and patina all over their jacket from multiple crashes. And I remember thinking, I don't want to wear 15 pounds of leather. I want to ride a motorcycle to work instead of use a car. So I needed it as light as possible, and all it really needed to do was survive one crash. And my idea was after a big crash scenario, if I could stand up on the side of the road, my bike a smoking wreck, and the suit would fall around my ankles in tattered smithereens, and I stepped out of it feeling like I was okay. That was exactly the outcome I was hoping for. However, They did turn out to be a little more repairable over a long period of use than we anticipated. They actually worked better and were tougher than we expected them to be. So if you're in a minor crash and you scuff an elbow or something, chances are it's repairable. So getting back to the actual features of the suit, the pockets are mostly what's called patch pockets. That means they're put on like patches. And on the seat, there's a second layer of the basic fabric. That's an area that takes a lot of abrasion. These side flaps here take a lot of abrasion on your hips. And these patch pockets all over, they basically give you 2 layers of fabric in most of the suit. And that was deliberately a part of the design to make it as light as possible, single layer, but in places where there would be extra abrasion to have extra layers of fabric. And we have had these come back after 3-digit crashes where people have slid a long, long, long way and gotten up after the accident and brushed themselves off and went, oh my gosh, that worked a lot better than I thought it did, which is really a great part of this business. Let's start with the pockets. So this long pocket is designed to hold like a rolled up magazine, a quart of soft drink or some milk. There's also a platypus drinking bladder that fits in here, and the hose from that model platypus, which we sell, comes out the bottom and the filler is at the top. And so you put the platypus drinking bladder in here, zip it up, and then you have a short extension of the bite valve right by your mouth, and that's our solution. Instead of wearing a backpack or carrying it on your back, you have it right here. In super hot conditions, you can also, at a roadside stop, grab ice from the soft drink machine and pack the pockets full of ice, and they'll press against your skin, cool you down very nicely, and the water will leak to the outside of the suit. You won't be wet on the inside. You're wearing a t-shirt and shorts, your skin will be dry, but you'll be chilled by the evaporating ice. These smartphones got popular. We decided that we needed a handy place to put them that was safe, that was protect them from getting wet, and would be very easy to hear if it rang, even when you're riding, and would be quick to draw and withdraw. So we put this little pocket in here, inside of the pocket, and the phones just sit in there perfectly, and you'll hear it if the ringer is set loud, and you can get it out pretty easily. This is a pretty big phone, and then if you're not set up with your helmet to be able to talk into an intercom system, you can sort of jam this between the padding of your helmet and just leave it sit in there and talk on the phone with it jammed in there with your helmet kind of off to the side. That's this pocket. So there's a lot of thought behind the shape. The bottom of this pocket is this is flush, but the bottom of this is actually pleated. So there's some cargo capacity here. So there's a lot of thought in this pocket. Let's talk about the sleeve pocket. Again, this is kind of detailed of how long it is and how far over to the side it is. You see a lot of pockets on Asian-made textile gear with a little decorative pocket here, good enough for a house key or something like that. But this is the way it is for a bunch of reasons. You can put currency, change, earplugs, whatever you want in here. When it was first in the earliest suits, this zipper I thought we would save some time in cutting and sewing by having it right along the edge here. The problem with that is if your hand's on the right handlebar and you unzip it and it's right at the edge, whatever you've got in there falls to the ground in front of your right knee. So we made it about a third of the way over so that you could open it, things wouldn't drop to the ground. The reason that this pocket is on the right sleeve instead of the left sleeve, again, has to do with toll roads. I thought if it was on the left sleeve, the temptation to pull in first gear to a toll booth, hold the clutch in with the bike in gear, get out the change, and so you wouldn't have to put the bike in neutral. I wanted to force riders at toll stops to put the bike in neutral for safety. There's a lot of oil and grease on the road around the toll booth, a lot of things going on, and the last thing I wanted was to have somebody struggling to get his ticket or his money out of his pocket and have his hand slip on the clutch and have the bike lurch forward and fall over, and then there's 12 people behind you wondering about that idiot motorcyclist holding up the parade. So it's on the right for a reason. The zipper is where it is for a reason. The length, actually you can fit a checkbook. If you still have a checkbook, I don't think anybody does. Let's go on to the next pocket. These pockets here are also double pockets. They could be cargo pockets, but they're flush. But when you fold them over, the top of the pocket rolls over so that it keeps them a little bit drier. And behind them, there is another pocket that you can just put your hands in like this. There's a trick, though, behind this one on the left side. If you zip this down to halfway to your knee, I'll show the trick. Yep, and see this? This is a rubber gasket with a slit in it. And it comes out basically right here, in here. We make a short wire with a plug on each end. If you use electrically heated gear and you want to be able to have this on in your suit, you put the electric vest or the electric liner or the electric bib on first, then you pull the suit on, and at the bottom of the electric bib or whatever, there's going to be this dangling little jumper wire here. You plug the two together. Then you can zip the suit up, because that wire will be becomes part of the suit if you're regularly using. That's right. Thank you. So that's that pocket. This pocket here, we call the logo pocket for obvious reasons. It's got a couple of tricks also. Inside of this pocket, there is this carabiner. And the reason there's a carabiner inside of this pocket is if you're traveling motel to motel to motel. A lot of people put their bike keys in here and leave it there for security. But if you're traveling motel to motel to motel, you often will have more stuff to carry into the hotel room than you have hands. You'll have either two saddlebags or a duffel bag or two from the back rack or passenger portion of the saddle. You might have a tank bag, and you've got your helmet. This is designed so that you can clip a helmet and wear it like right here, giving you both hands free to carry your tank bag and your duffel bag or the backpack that was strapped to the back of the bike. So suddenly you can walk in and open the door, and you don't need one of those little carts, because you're able to carry everything off the bike in one trip because the helmet hangs here in front of you. That's what this is originally set up for. The other trick to this pocket, again, it's a flat patched pocket, but let's see if I can show you. See, it goes all the way through. On military uniforms, since as far back as I could do research, they often came with a little strap of fabric here on the shoulders of both sides with a snap or a button. And soldiers would put gloves that they're not using. These are called epaulets. And I wanted something when I was stopping for gas, and I wanted to work with my wallet or a credit card. I didn't want to be wearing my gloves. I wanted a place to jam my gloves that I wouldn't lose them while I was at a roadside stop. And that's what this is for. You jam your gloves in here, and usually they'll stick out a little to either side, and it's like an epaulet on your shoulders, but it's in a more handy space. That's, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there is a 9th pocket. Now, where is the 9th? Oh, down here. So this is on your right thigh. It's a flat, patched-on pocket like the other ones. I often will carry a towel for cleaning my face shield. I carry a little spray bottle of Protectol or a glass cleaner, so I will spray the helmet and get the towel out of here or off the pump island and clean my helmet with essentially cleaner water. Let's see, so that's the 9 pockets. There, if you open it up for me, I'll show them the audience. Let's see, in here, see these 2 big bars of loop from Velcro, from hook and loop? We sell 3 different kinds of pockets that go on the inside of the suit, on either side. So you can have the traditional inside pockets, and you can have them so they go straight down or come in from the side. Those are options. These are here for a reason. They're not to be used every single time. If you're like, this allows you to set to the exact size of your wrist, the circumference. So in a crash, the sleeve won't pull up on you. And from there on out, you use the gusset. That's a sort of a set it and forget it deal. There's another set of these back at the waist. Depends on whether you're routinely wearing a sweater, down puffy, or just a t-shirt seasonally. You set these and forget them. And then the same thing down here at the ankle, depending on whether you're wearing a thick boot or a short boot or whatever. There's vents under the arms. They're really long. They have a long thing. If it's a long straight road, you can kind of wobble along and adjust them while you're going. There's an air exhaust vent in the back with 2 zipper sliders. You can close it like this. You can open it all the way if you want it wide open, or the way most people do it is they put the vent like that. I think that's the whole thing. Thank you so much, Rick. There are 6 standard armor pieces which come in every R3 or Roadcrafter Classic. There's elbows, there's shoulders, and there's knees, and they're shaped a little differently for each location, and they're also size graded. So there is a small, a medium, and a large armor piece so that it fits correctly into the Roadcrafter Classic or the R3. The R3, because it's unlined, the armor pieces are attached to the garment, the outer shell, with some very aggressive hook and loop. And this allows the wearer to position the armor in the best position for their riding position and for the measurements of their body. We want the knee to be exactly over your knee. And the reason the Velcro is so aggressive is because the only time it's really removed is for laundering the garment. It pretty much stays where you put it. Using this piece of knee armor as an example, it's not an even curve. It's a sharper curve at the top where your kneecap is, tapering to a slightly lower curve. The outer area is Cordura nylon. The inner is a lighter weight fabric called Super Nylon for comfort. So when you put one of these armor pieces into an Aerostich garment, whether it's an 81 or an R3 or a whatever, you're getting not only the 2 layers of fabric on the outside that are abrasion resistant, but the outer layer of this fabric, the bag that holds the armor, is abrasion resistant, and the 2 layers of Velcro. So you've got about 5 or 6 layers at the hardest point of impact where you're likely to put the most pressure on the armor and on the suit during a crash scenario. The armor's a little bit difficult to get in and out of these pockets, and the trick is to sort of curl them into as much of a ball as you can, and you shove them in there, and then you close the pocket, and these 2 stay together pretty much for the life of the garment. So I want to talk a little bit now about why we don't include some of the other pieces that can go in the suit. This hook and this hook and this hook and this hook hold one of 3 different pieces of TF back armor. We have a standard back pad, a very full coverage competition back pad, and a little bit thinner back pad that comes out of our leather transit series. There's also here and here a place to hang a bag to hold hip armor. We have 2 different sizes of hip armor. I don't know if I have a piece right here. I don't. The large impact armor for the hip is about this big, and the little one is about this big. For most riders, again, the 6 main pieces are all you need for the basic. For me, I use the standard back armor, and I use the smaller hip armor because that allows me to get into my pants pockets from the outside of the suit. The big version of the hip armor sort of covers this pocket access. but I'm using my suit mostly for daily riding and for commuting, so I like the smaller hip armor and the standard back pad. Let's take a look at the pieces of armor here. You'll see this is a elbow armor. It would go on like this. This is a shoulder armor, and they're different on either side. The sort of sharper point goes to the back, so that would go into the suit like that. And this is a size medium knee armor, and that would go into the suit like that. These bluish ones are standard, and they are sort of an all-around type of viscoelastic foam. They stiffen when you hit them hard and soften when you want to squeeze them down like I'm doing here. They're called, the generic name for this type of material is called a slow recovery foam. And I can't wait to anxious to tell you a little bit about the history of this armor and why it's the way that it is. But this works very good. If you live in an area that's super hot, this is a slightly temperature sensitive type of foam. And if you want more impact energy absorption when it's 90 degrees, this bluish one will get a little softer than I think is ideal. And so we have a second. This is the competition armor, which is a little less comfortable at room temperature, a little stiffer, but it's a little bit better when it's 80 or 90 degrees or 100 degrees. It's a little stiffer. So the purpose of these suits is to cover whatever your street clothes are, which depending on the temperature can vary quite a bit. So we wanted the armor not to be conforming exactly to the shape of your shoulder or your elbow tightly, but to give you room to vary the amount of insulation you're wearing at different times of the year. And so that's why the armor looks like this. You'll find in road race leathers, armor is closely shaped to your body. You're basically wearing boxers or briefs and a t-shirt under road race leather. And so the armor is closely fitted to your knee. This is a little bigger so that it gives you room it helps the suit be more versatile. That's a pretty deep dive into the features and the details about the Aerostich R-3 one-piece armored, abrasion-resistant, breathable, waterproof, advanced technology rider's suit. I hope you'll give one a try. I know it will allow you to ride your motorcycle more. And if you run into somebody who wears one, ask them how they like it, and they'll tell you how it has changed, how they motorcycle, how often, and to wear, and lots of other things. Thanks for watching, and good riding.